This will probably be the last time I will ever speak on this because I've already made like 3 videos on this topic, but since you guys really blew those videos up, I'm finally doing it and ending it here. Ever since the beginning of 2026, I had made numerous videos talking about Stranger Things' reboot with the same title, but also with the name called Tales from 85. I honestly refuse to call it Stranger Things, honestly. Most of these videos included my initial reaction to the teasers and trailer, and at the end of the video, I stated this in every single one of my videos. I know what I said about Tales from 85 was harsh, but I will still watch it once it comes out somewhere in 2026. I really do hope that they prove me wrong, but knowing how Netflix is right now, I doubt it will happen. But as mentioned last time, I'll still watch the series to see if what I said was wrong. Well, I'm here to announce that I have officially sat through the whole show in one sitting, and surprise, surprise, the show actually ended up disappointing me. There were basically a lot of problems I had with the show, and I honestly feel like that this was honestly a failed attempt to give Stranger Things its own spin-off. And honestly, I feel like this shouldn't have been made. In this video, I'll be talking about my review on the show, going over every single one of the episodes, and talking about some of the problems I had with this show. Which I don't know if it'll be a surprise to anyone, but I'll still say them anyway. So, let's jump right in. Before we jump into the synopsis of Tales from 85, let's go back to where it really started. For those who have no idea what Stranger Things is, which, wow, Stranger Things is a sci-fi television series that was created by the Duffer Brothers, and it was first released on July 15th, 2016. The show takes place in the 1980s, with the central focus being the fictional town of Hawkins, Indiana. The first season is set in November 1983, which follows numerous groups of characters as they separately investigate the disappearance of Will Byers. Along the way, Will's group of friends encounter a mysterious girl named Eleven, who had escaped from Hawkins' lab, and is on the run. The series became a hit on Netflix, and it would receive a second and third season as both seasons expand the narrative scope, exploring the complex fallout from the events of November 1983, as well as introducing some new characters. The fourth season further expands the show's scope, with major storylines taking place outside of Hawkins for the first time. A fifth season would return solely to Hawkins to conclude the series, and unfortunately, Season 5 has since been the most poorly praised. The show left a lasting legacy as a cultural phenomenon that defined 2010s to 2020s streaming, popularized binge-watching culture, and rejuvenated 1980s nostalgia. Its impact includes launching young stars, breaking Netflix viewership records, and establishing a lasting aesthetic blend of horror, romance, and friendship. Even after the nearly decade-long show concluded, there were still some projects that were also in the works because of the show's success, consisting of 2 spin-off series, both an unrevealed live-action series, and the animated series on which we will be talking about today. We are officially now heading into the synopsis of the show, which also means that there will be spoilers for the show as I will be talking about the entire plot of the show, even mentioning what happens in every episode. So if you are planning on watching Tales from 85 yourself, it's probably best that you click off this video, go watch it, and come back to this video. If you have seen the show or you just simply don't care about spoilers, feel free to stay. Now that that's out of the way, let's jump right in. The first episode begins with a hazmat worker hunting down a small upside-down creature in the woods and ends up destroying it. But its ashes grow into dangerous vines. We then cut to the kids starting their morning routines. Mike meets Lucas and Max, Dustin escapes bullies, Will gets a mixtape from Jonathan, and Eleven argues with Hopper about rules before leaving with Mike. The group heads to school while the bullies who chased Dustin are attacked and dragged underground by the new vine creature. At school, Will is bullied until a punk girl and mysterious new student by the name of Nikki Baxter intervenes. Mrs. Baxter, who is also Nikki's mother, becomes the substitute teacher for Mr. Clark, and the kids learn a blizzard is coming. They decide to shovel snow in a wealthy neighborhood to earn money for their D&D campaign. While working, a snowplow driver threatens them, but is suddenly dragged away by the creature. Elle saves Lucas and Max from a runaway snowplow and rescues Dustin by dropping a tree on the monster. The kids regroup and decide they must catch the creature. They set up a trap near the arcade using Dustin as bait. While watching the area, however, they spot Nikki walking with loud music playing, and the creature heads straight for her. The kids sprint to warn her, Lucas shoots her Walkman to get her attention, and she narrowly escapes only for the creature to leap after her and tower over her. Episode 2 opens right where Episode 1 ended. The creature attacks Nikki, and the group jumps in to fight it. Elle pins the monster to a wall with her powers, revealing that Charlie, who was the missing bully, was trapped inside the creature, seemingly powering it. Once Elle pulls him free, she tears the creature apart. Charlie survives, and the group finally meets Nikki properly. She promises to keep their secret, and the kids begin arguing about what this new threat actually is. They eventually decide to form the HIC, also known as the Hawkins Investigators Club, officially bringing Nikki into the group. They also discover that Mrs. Baxter, their chaotic substitute teacher, is Nikki's mother as mentioned before. Strange activity begins again at a local farm where the demo roots attack the pumpkin patch. The HIC starts posting flyers around town to gather tips. Dustin reluctantly follows up on a silly lead about Slothman, while Max encourages Mike to take Elle to the winter festival to cheer her up. At the festival, Mike and Elle try to enjoy themselves, while Nikki and Will also show up. Nikki gives Will a confidence boost and casually dominates the carnival games, showing she's more capable than she lets on. Meanwhile, Dustin wanders the woods alone and runs into Charlie, who's now jittery and unstable after his time inside the creature. Max and Lucas investigate the farm and find 2 terrified kids hiding inside the barn. Outside, the pumpkin patch erupts and the pumpkins come to life, sprouting roots and chasing them. Max and Lucas escape by riding a tractor through the patch, crushing most of the pumpkin creatures. The group realizes the winter festival is in danger as the pumpkins that were from the infected patch were sent there for the pie eating contest. Dustin and the others race to stop it, but they are too late. During the contest, one of the girls, Rosario, becomes infected by the corrupted pumpkin filling. The episode ends with the threat spreading into the heart of Hawkins and the HIC realizing the situation is far worse than they thought. The episode opens with the group still in the woods, facing the mutated pumpkin creature that has absorbed Rosario. Elle uses her powers to hold it back while Nikki jumps in to help. The creature overpowers the group, grabbing several of them and leaving Will alone. Will uses the carnival mallet Nikki grabbed in episode 2 and strikes the creature in the mouth, freeing everyone. Elle then finishes it off with her powers, Rosario survives, and Nikki congratulates Will. But Elle worries the threat is still escalating. Back in town, the group regroups at the arcade. Dustin consults his monster manual and insists the creature resembles an aboleth, which Nikki teases him about. She brings the group to her mother, Mrs. Baxter, who explains how evolution accelerates under threat and how some organisms release spores to ensure survival. The kids realize the upside-down creatures are doing exactly that. The group splits up to investigate. Max and Lucas return to the pumpkin patch and find dried spores and vine remnants. Meanwhile, the others search the woods where they fought the jack-o'-lantern creature. They find more vines and one attacks Dustin, but Nikki's improvised pike saves him. The group regroups at the old sawmill, only to discover the spores have begun infecting more human hosts, transforming them into new monsters. A chaotic battle breaks out and the fight ends in a massive explosion, and in the aftermath, Elle is crushed under fallen logs, leaving the group in shock as the episode ends. The episode shifts perspective to Steve, who awkwardly calls his date Nancy by mistake. Moments later, when he starts his car, he is attacked by one of the same creatures from the sawmill and is forced to flee. Meanwhile, Elle is badly hurt from the sawmill explosion. Mike blames himself for not protecting her and decides he must take her back to Hopper and confess everything. At the cabin, Hopper calls Elle to say he'll be home in a few hours with old home videos, unaware of the chaos unfolding. Elle is frustrated at being sidelined, and the rest of the group argues about what to do next. Dustin and Steve reluctantly team up to hunt the creatures. They soon find one hiding inside a meat truck and manage to trap it in the back. Dustin insists they need to take it to the incinerator plant to destroy it properly. As they drive, vines slam against the truck, making the trip dangerous. A second creature follows them to the dump, and Dustin and Steve lure both monsters into the incinerator plant. Steve scrambles through the control room trying to find the right switch, and finally activates the incinerator, destroying both creatures. Elsewhere, Nikki brings Will to her garage full of inventions and gadgets. She tells him the group can use her weapons if she's going to move on to other projects. Back at Hopper's cabin, Mike apologizes to Elle for not listening to her and undermining her abilities. They agree to tell Hopper the truth about everything they've been doing. At the arcade, Lucas accidentally drops one of his photos and Keith snatches it. He refuses to give it back and closes the arcade for the night. Lucas and Max pedal to Hopper's cabin to report what happened, just as Hopper himself arrives home, ready to talk. Hopper arrives home to find the entire gang hanging out in his cabin, but Nikki is hidden since Hopper has no idea who she is. The kids scramble to hide her before Hopper notices a stranger inside. Once she's gone, the group insists she's still just a newbie, and in a moment of frustration, Mike blurts out that she ruins everything. Nikki overhears, is hurt, and slips away before anyone can stop her. Meanwhile, Keith sells Lucas's lost photo to a mysterious man in a car who is the editor of the Weekly Watch, Hawkins' sleazy tabloid newspaper. The gang confronts Keith, chasing him on their bikes, but he's already sold the photo. Their new target becomes the Weekly Watcher building. Dustin scouts the layout, Mike recalls where the photo is stored, and Lucas finds a discarded keycard in the trash. Nancy overhears their plan and joins in, distracting the security guard while the kids sneak inside. The keycard works, and they slip into the office unnoticed. Max and Lucas locate the folder with the photo, but things go sideways, forcing Elle to use her powers to save Lucas and get everyone out safely. The kids escape with the photo and head home, but underground, the threat continues to grow. In the sewers, another creature is revealed, this one using Jeff, the second missing bully, as its life force. The Upside Down's influence is spreading, and the danger is far from over. We are officially halfway through the episodes, and honestly, after watching the first 5 episodes, I didn't really like them that much, especially with what comes later on. Let's continue. The episode opens with a flashback to November 12th, 1984, where scientists experiment on vine remnants in a secret lab, injecting them with an unknown serum. This ties directly to episode 1's opening, the moment the mutated creature releases spores into the air. Jumping to January 15th, 1985, Mrs. Baxter tests a new serum meant to revive plants, while Nikki is depressed and considering leaving Hawkins after the fallout with the group. Meanwhile, the HIC opens their tip box and finds it empty, celebrating that they solved all their major mysteries, except the emotional one involving Nikki. Will wants to invite Nikki into the new D&D campaign he's planning to DM, but Mike is hesitant and the two end up getting into an argument with each other, which causes Will to set off the fire alarm, causing Mike to go straight out of character by basically yelling at Will. He, Mike, Nikki, and Charlie all end up in detention together. Outside the school, Lucas and Max help a kid retrieve a lost ball from the sewer. Dustin and Rosario spend time together, bonding as they walk to her house to retrieve his jacket. Rosario reveals she's been having disturbing visions of a blurry X with a floating red light above it. Dustin realizes that this vision might be a clue and Rosario isn't the only one seeing it. Charlie, still shaken from his possession, draws the same symbol in detention. Back in detention, Nikki ignores Mike and Will's awkward attempts at conversation and arm wrestles Charlie, easily defeating him. Eventually, she agrees to help the group again for Elle's sake. Mike apologizes in the hallway for saying she ruins everything, and Nikki accepts his apology. Down in the sewers, Max and Lucas encounter another mutated creature, but they manage to defeat it and free Jeff, the second missing bully from inside its body, just like Charlie earlier. But the danger escalates as another creature heads straight for Hawkins Middle School and consumes the coach, turning him into its new host. The episode ends with the mutants stalking the halls, ready to attack as the threat grows closer to the kids than ever. The episode opens with Mike, Will, and Nikki trapped inside Hawkins Middle School, trying to outrun the mutant creature created from upside-down spores. Just as they are about to escape, however, they realize Charlie is still inside, and they refuse to leave him behind. They turn back to save him despite the danger. Meanwhile, Elle is stuck at home, frustrated and restless. Worried about Mike, she puts on her blindfold and uses her powers to locate him. Realizing he's in danger, she heads out into the storm and even uses a fallen street sign as a makeshift sled to speed her way toward the school. Jeff flees into the night, while Lucas and Max climb out of the sewer but can't get a signal. They decide to climb the nearby water tower to reach the others. Dustin takes shelter at the food mart where he learns a surprising truth. Daniel Baxter, Nikki's father, was once a scientist at Hawkins' lab and a founding member of the Scientific Progress Committee. He never achieved major recognition, leaving only with a commemorative watch, a detail that hints at deeper ties to the current crisis. Back at the school, the creature ends up getting Charlie, but the kids manage to pull him free. Charlie falls into a trance, suggesting the creature is still physically connected to him. The group realizes they need to destroy the creature and recover their walkie-talkie. Nikki gets an idea. Since they are hiding in the school lab, she improvises a weapon, a homemade explosive she calls a taser tot. Before Elle can arrive, Nikki's taser tot detonates and kills the creature, breaking its hold on Charlie. He snaps out of his trance, and Nikki officially becomes part of the team again. Moments later, Elle bursts into the school and reunites with Mike, but the relief is short-lived at the food mart as more creatures are beginning to gather, signaling that the threat is far from over. The episode opens with Dustin trapped inside the food mart as multiple mutants stalk the aisles searching for him. He tries to sneak out but makes too much noise, forcing him to fight his way through. He throws his backpack at one creature, which drags it away into the sewers. But more monsters remain. Just before Dustin is attacked, Elle and the gang arrive driving a snowplow. Elle destroys the creatures with ease, though these ones oddly don't release spores. The food mart, however, is left in ruins, with a massive tree branch jutting through the building. The next morning, Hopper and the police inspect the damage and blame it on the storm. But the creature that stole Dustin's backpack is still alive and hiding in the sewers. Down in the sewers, Dustin uses She-Ra logic to piece together what's happening. The creatures behave like drones, which means there must be a queen controlling them. If they kill the queen, the rest will fall. This lines up with the visions Rosario and Charlie have been experiencing the blurry X with the red light. The group heads to Nikki's garage to gear up. Dustin notices a photo of Mrs. Baxter with a group of scientists, hinting at her deeper connection to the upside-down crisis. But before they can dig into it, the kids realize it's Nikki's birthday, and they celebrate it in the most Hawkins way possible, by going monster hunting. They descend into the sewers, where Nikki uses a homemade grappling hook to help them cross a gap, only for the unstable ground to collapse and send them all tumbling deeper underground. In the depths, Nikki discovers that the vines are wrapped around a power transformer, feeding energy into the Queen. The group is attacked again, and though everyone fights, it's Nikki who does most of the heavy lifting, even saving Elle at one point. They attempt to destroy the Queen but fail, forcing them to retreat. Back on the surface, Nikki proposes a new plan. The Queen might be vulnerable to intense light, and she intends to build a weapon to exploit that weakness. Then comes the twist. Dustin realizes with horror that Mrs. Baxter is Horde Prime, the scientist responsible for creating the monstrous plant creatures in the first place. Episode 9 opens immediately after Dustin's shocking realization that Mrs. Baxter is Horde Prime. Panicked, he rushes back into Nikki's garage and pretends everything is normal, urging the group to head home. Once outside, he tells the others the truth. Mrs. Baxter is the villain behind the vines and the creatures. At home, Mrs. Baxter abruptly announces she's leaving Hawkins and gives Nikki until evening to pack. Nikki is devastated by this, especially after spending earlier episodes debating whether she should leave. She goes to Mike's basement to tell the group the bad news. Meanwhile, the HIC decides they need evidence proving Mrs. Baxter created the vines. They theorize she's fleeing because she's lost control of her own creation and wants to cover her tracks. Dustin convinces Nikki to stall her mother long enough for the group to investigate her property. At Nikki's house, the kids notice the tree outside matches the one Rosario and Charlie saw in their visions, the blurry X with the red light. They search the grounds and discover the source, a creepy greenhouse behind the house. Dustin and Lucas sneak inside while Will and Max search the office. They find a video showing the vines and clear proof that Mrs. Baxter was involved in creating them, but trouble brews outside. Nikki puts on her headphones, unaware that the green goo on them sheds spores into the air. The particles drift into the sewers, alerting the mutants to their location. Back at the greenhouse, the group regroups and discovers a hidden lab beneath it. They radio Mike, who updates Elle from the backseat of the car. The kids explain the green goo's ability to revive dead plants, which is a key part of the mutation process. However, mutants attack Mrs. Baxter's car on the road, with Nikki, Mike, and Elle inside. The group fights back, with Elle taking the lead until Mrs. Baxter arrives and hits the last creature with her car. The kids confront her, but she's genuinely confused. Then comes the twist. Mrs. Baxter isn't a real scientist. Daniel Baxter is. He stole her serum, conducted the experiments himself, and is now the true mastermind behind the creatures. Inside the underground lab, Daniel catches the kids and is furious. At the same time, Elle is suddenly grabbed by vines and dragged down into the sewers, setting up the finale. The finale opens in the secret underground lab, where Dustin confronts Daniel Baxter about his experiments. Daniel insists that the creatures aren't dangerous and shows off the supposed queen, contained in a glass chamber. But when he demonstrates the green goo serum, the queen suddenly erupts with power, smashing the floor and sending everyone tumbling into different underground levels. Daniel realizes too late that the queen has been digging beneath Hawkins for weeks, spreading roots deep into the town. Dustin and Daniel climb down to search for the others, while Max and Lucas pull Dustin away before Daniel can cause more trouble. Deeper underground, the kids discover more vials of the green goo, which Daniel greedily stuffs into his backpack. A massive vine mutant attacks, and Daniel immediately abandons Will to save himself. Lucas and Max rescue Will, while Nikki uses her new light blaster to push the creature back. Meanwhile, Elle is dragged even deeper into the sewers by the vines. The group searches for her and arrives just in time to see Daniel nearly sacrifice Nikki to the creature. Elle intervenes, saving Nikki, but Daniel, who was covered in the green goo, is devoured by the monster, which becomes even stronger. The creature opens a gate to the Upside Down, and Elle jumps in, determined to stop it. Above ground, the kids are swarmed by smaller mutants and must fight for their lives using Nikki's inventions. The group battles the smaller creatures while Elle confronts the queen inside the Upside Down. The gate grows stronger, threatening to tear open completely. With time running out, Nikki uses her Lightbringer to blast the queen with intense light, giving Elle the opening she needs. Elle closes the gate and destroys the queen, ending the immediate threat. 3 weeks later, life in Hawkins begins to settle. Hopper apologizes to Elle for being distant and extends her curfew. Elle joins Mike and the rest of the gang, including Nikki, now officially part of the friend group for a D&D session. But in the Upside Down, the danger isn't gone. From the queen's remains, a strange blue flower blooms and reveals a snarling face, hinting that the horror is far from over, which might be implied of another season. And that is the end of Tales from 85. Now that we've gone through each and every one of the episodes, it is now time for me to say my review. Please keep in mind that everything I am going to say in this video is entirely my opinion. So please don't go in the comments and just say a lot of angry comments. Obviously, as I said before, I had a lot of problems. The first problem I had was the amount of plot holes that were in the show. Unfortunately, I don't think it's a surprise because Stranger Things is unfortunately not really good with filling in plot holes, season 5 for example, but I feel like Tales from 85 honestly just makes everything worse, even with the inclusion of Nikki Baxter, because by the end, she ends up becoming a part of the party. But like, what happened to her after that? Because we never see her in any of the original seasons, like season 3, 4, and 5. Why introduce a new character knowing the fact that she is not even in the original show to begin with? That literally just opened up a huge plot hole for me. But also, another thing that I feel like was a plot hole was the spores, the queen, the vine monsters, the horde prime, twist, and the green goo. I feel like none of these concepts line up with the established Upside Down biology, and it doesn't even make any sense to me at all. But also, what happened to everyone after they were taken over by the creatures? Except for the fact that Rosario and the bullies got out of there, but like, what happened to everybody else? Like, did they also die by disintegrating with the creatures after they were killed? It's just a lot to question here. Also, the random plot point of the group trying to get back a photo of Elle just came out of nowhere, and honestly, I don't think it integrates into the story, honestly. Like, it's just so random to include. Another problem I had with the show as well, as some people were also talking about this as well, is how the characters in the show are so out of character, especially comparing them to the original show. Some of these characters say the most out-of-pocket things. The biggest one by far was how Mike treated Will. This was so out of character for me because Mike would never go out of his way to yell at Will. If anything, Mike would literally care for Will and do everything to make sure he's alright, as evidenced throughout each season of the original show. This version of Mike is so unserious to me because why do you have to be so rude to Will? And plus, Will is basically the punching bag, honestly. Justice for Will. My next problem with the show was how predictable everything was. I don't know about you, but I predicted that Mr. Baxter was suspicious ever since Dustin asked if he was associated with Hawkins' lab, and it's safe to say that I was right, especially with his reveal. Because of that, it just makes this show less exciting, honestly, but I also really feel like most of the episodes are literally just the same exact thing after each episode. Like, what I mean by that is I kind of see a pattern when watching every episode. Someone gets captured, creatures are defeated, and a new creature is summoned. It feels so unoriginal, and I feel like the team making this basically had like no idea what they even wanted. Another major problem I had was how so many characters got sidelined, to the point that they were basically erased from the show even after appearing in 1 or 2 episodes, and most of these characters were also literal main characters as well too. For example, Nancy, Steve, and Jonathan, they only appeared in one single episode, only for them to not appear in the episode. And they are never seen or mentioned in the series again after that. And they are literally the main characters. Hopper does make appearances, but is just sidelined to the old worrying parent role, I guess, if that makes sense. Sure, Hopper is worried for Eleven's safety and cares about her, but he's more than just a worried father. Just look at all the episodes from the original series. But also, where is Joyce? She's only mentioned once, but we never see her. And why? I feel like all of this is mainly to shine some light on Nikki's character and her family, but like, I honestly really couldn't even care less because once again, she wasn't in the original show to begin with, and neither were her parents. Another problem I had was the voice acting in the show. I feel like the only voice acting that I thought was pretty solid was Dustin, Lucas, Max, and Steve. I think I'm only saying that because of my bias towards Jeremy Jordan. However, I do feel like that they sounded pretty canon to season 2, but I just find the other voices somewhat okay or very inconsistent. Now, please do not think that I am hating on the voice actors. I don't have anything against them. I do feel like they definitely tried, but everything I say is all directed to how the team wanted them to sound, and basically the direction they wanted. One of my nitpicks was how very inconsistent Mike sounded. Like, he sounds from this
That's when we'll start the campaign.
to this.
Elle, you're gonna love it!
And it just makes this very hard to listen to because what direction was Mike's voice actor given? Also, the same thing goes to Eleven's voice actress as well. She does sound fine, but there are times where her voice doesn't really fit 11. However, Hopper's voice does not fit him. I'm sorry. And my last problem for the show was the ending. I personally found the ending very anticlimactic because I feel like it tries to be a huge moment, but honestly, it just doesn't feel right. Like, literally after Mr. Baxter was revealed to be a villain, he literally gets eaten by the creature. The queen is literally defeated pretty quickly. Elle closes the gate once again, which the scene feels pretty synonymous to another particular scene in season 2 of Stranger Things, which they also happen to mention that scene in the show, but in an animated format. I also do feel like the ending was pretty rushed, honestly. But all in all, this ending felt like a joke, and having to get such an anticlimactic ending after 10 episodes is just disappointing. So to conclude, I see this show not only as a cash grab, but also Netflix is just continuing to milk Stranger Things. This show didn't have to be made. I think they should have left Stranger Things as it was, but obviously, success of a show is a temptress, so I understand why they probably wanted to push for it to continue, but I feel like this show is just going to tarnish Stranger Things' legacy. Stranger Things is already about to be a decade old now. I think we should just put it to rest. But I highly doubt it will happen, since I don't know if this series will be renewed for a second season, and if it will be, I do hope that Netflix will at least listen to the criticisms that the show has and make season 2 somewhat enjoyable, but I highly doubt it. What did you guys think of Tales from 85? If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give this video a huge thumbs up, and if you're new, consider subscribing to this channel and hitting that notification bell so you don't miss any more of my future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye everyone!